Hello everybody and welcome to my channel about chronic illness. Today I'm going to talk about hopefully a basic explanation of what fibromyalgia is. Getting right into it, fibromyalgia is a syndrome where the person that has it experiences chronic pain, chronic fatigue, a plethora, which is a good word, of other symptoms, like a huge number of, it's a strange list of symptoms, things like IBS, brain fog, depression, anxiety, all these sorts of things, but it's basically usually described as widespread, constant pain. I personally was diagnosed in November with fibromyalgia. It is usually, people can have it for a long period of time and not know they have it. It can be quite dormant in people. According to my explanation and my experience, I'm not an expert, but I had symptoms from when I was sort of a young teenager. But we didn't know what it was. My mum would tell me it was growing pains. I used to have these sort of really sharp nervous pains down my legs and down my back. I thought for a while that it was sciatica because that's something my dad suffers with, but it's not. It's fibro. So in me anyway. It's to receive sort of a diagnosis of fibromyalgia, it's a bit of a long-winded process. I was quite lucky that I got a diagnosis when I did. Some people can take, like, I've heard of sort of situations where it can take 20 years for someone to get a diagnosis of fibro. It just takes the right doctor, sort of thing, is what they said. But for me, I had tests all through my sort of teenage years. I had MRIs because they thought maybe I had a brain tumour. They told me I had labyrinthitis because of my migraines and my dizziness. They told me that they tested me for diabetes and all these things, and everything just came back negative. I had like every blood test you can ever think of, multiple times, because you go to a new doctor, their first impression or idea or suggestion is to send you off for more blood tests, and I'm like, okay, but you know, I've only got a certain amount of blood, so you can't keep taking all of it. And but that's sort of how it goes. But it's a diagnosis by elimination. That might not be the word. But you basically have to be tested for everything else under the sun in order to receive a diagnosis of fibromyalgia, because they have to like exclude a diagnosis by exclusion. They have to exclude everything else that it could be, because fibro isn't something that they can currently detect. It's not something that shows up on scans or in blood work. As far as sort of understanding goes, it's seen as something that's sort of a neurological condition, but there's loads of different sort of ideas surrounding it, of possible sort of physiological causes, but the sort of important things that I guess you get told when you receive a diagnosis of fibromyalgia, or if you have a friend with it, is that it is an illness that is very changeable. It can change sort of day to day. You go through phases of sort of flare and of maybe sort of release, where it can be worse during some periods as in others, and it can get better, and then it can get worse, and it can get better. There are people that have been able to sort of manage it and keep it down. There is no cure, and most doctors have told me that there's not any treatment or anything they can do about it. They just sort of try you on different medications. Painkillers don't do anything for me. The only painkiller that I've taken that actually is able to help and to give me some relief is tramadol, which is incredibly strong. So I choose not to take it unless I'm on a day where I physically can't breathe because of the pain. on those sorts of days, it's nice to have something that you know is something that you can take, but it's very addictive and isn't very good for you, so try not to take it as much as you possibly can. I've only taken it sort of twice. Yeah, so you basically just have to learn to live with pain, and for me, like, the pain can get worse and it can change and shift to different parts of the body, but then your pain tolerance goes up, but then the pain goes up, but it's possible to find a balance as far as I'm aware. I'm very new, as I say, I was diagnosed last November, so I'm very new to this. This is just my experience. What I would say, sort of simply, if you have fibromyalgia, or if you have a friend that has fibromyalgia, or someone tells you that they have it, just be kind and hear them out, because it's really hard to explain to everyone you see that you have to explain this very complex syndrome that you don't really understand, and that doctors don't really understand, and you have to be your own advocate, and you have to explain it to all these people, and you really don't have the energy, and you really don't have the words, and you have this sort of brain fog that makes you all muddled up, and it's really hard to find the words. So I would say just be patient and just be kind with yourself and with others. And that's about it. That's all I wanted to say today. So hopefully see you next time. So the next video I'm going to be talking about why people with chronic illness are known as spoonies. So see you then.